Hello, my friends. Welcome to my channel. My name is Rain. This is Healing with the Inner Tarot. In this series, I will be using this book, The Inner Tarot by Kate Van Horn, as my guide to a 78 episode healing journey that I'm happy to share with you. Thank you so much for being here. Now, I'm not a therapist. I am a self-therapy enthusiast with some psychology education in my background. If you feel the need to seek professional help, please do so. There are a lot of resources out there. Also, some of the subject matter in this series could be triggering for some people. Please keep that in mind. So, let's get to the good stuff. In the description below, I'm including a link to a downloadable PDF workbook with some homework you can do after watching today's show. Included in this workbook is a tarot spread I created called Slow It Down. So that's my gift to you. Now let's get to it. Today we're talking about the Knight of Pentacles and how we can use this card in our healing journey. The Knight of Pentacles is about productivity, patience, reliability, hard work, and planning. This knight is in no hurry to get things done, but he is very methodical and committed to the process. He prefers to plan his path before taking action. He moves along very steadily and consistently. If we look at the card, we see the knight sitting on his horse in a moment of stillness. He's holding a gold coin in his hand. He's looking at it with a lot of consideration. Unlike the other knights in the deck, he's not rushing forward or making offerings. He's contemplating his next move. We see plowed fields behind him. He's someone who doesn't mind doing the hard work to reach his goal, even if this work may be repetitive and dull. There's a sense of peace surrounding this image. He's very relaxed. His horse is relaxed. He's very patient. He loves his routines. And I think he turns his nose up at spontaneity, and he's not a fan of change. I am just like the Knight of Pentacles. I'm such a routine person to the point where I feel discomfort if my routines get interrupted. So let's look at the reverse Knight of Pentacles. The suggestion could be that your routines have become too dull, perhaps, that you're bored with life, or maybe that you've focused too much on the daily grind of work, sacrificing your family or your relationships. You might be working too hard, and you may be in need of some rest right now. Perhaps you've been sloppy in your work or rushed into a bad investment and you need to get your finances in order. Why don't we take a look at how Kate describes the Knight of Pentacles in her book? She writes, "When a Knight of Pentacles character comes your way, you might want to hire them because it's hard to imagine someone more willing or loyal to the process and more intentional with their actions." Kate also says, "This card is your tarot deck's way of calling you forward towards hard work and promising you abundant results if you stay grounded. Just be mindful that your routines and efforts don't become inflexible. When you're working toward a goal, do so with integrity." The knight is hardworking. He's a determined provider. But we have to remember he's still a knight. He's still learning everything about his suit. He may have difficulties expressing his emotions, maybe still a little emotionally immature and withdrawn, which when he feels overwhelmed, he may withdraw and not speak. He's learning about common sense, which ain't so common these days, and he knows that slow and steady wins the race. Now that's what I'm focusing on today. Slow and steady wins the race. The origin of this saying, slow and steady wins the race, is believed to be from one of Aesop's fables. Aesop was a Greek slave who wrote numerous animal fables that are known collectively as Aesop's fables. One of the stories credited to his name is one that you've probably heard before, The Tortoise and the Hare. In this story, a hare makes fun of a tortoise for being slow. The tortoise then challenges the hare to a race. Amused by the idea, the hare accepts. He believes there is no way he could possibly lose to a slow turtle. With the course set and ready to go, the race begins, and the hare quickly darts down the path as the tortoise slowly begins the race. It's not long before the hare builds a strong lead. In fact, his lead is so strong that he decides to take a nap. Meanwhile, the tortoise continues slowly the course, walking at a slow and steady pace until he eventually catches up and even passes the napping hare. Shortly after, the hare wakes up only to see the tortoise moments away from finishing the race. He desperately tries to catch up, running as fast as he can, but it's too late. The tortoise crosses the finish line and he wins the race. Even though he was slow, the tortoise was persistent. So it's believed that the moral of the story is slow and steady wins the race. Of course, one could argue that the hare's arrogance lost him the race, right? But if we think of the hare as well, he hastily sped and it wore him out enough that he had to take a nap. So his speed cost him to lose the race because he had to take a nap. Slow and steady. Now, by maintaining a steady pace and staying committed to our goals, like the Knight of Pentacles, we can overcome challenges and eventually emerge victorious. This phrase is a timeless piece of wisdom that emphasizes the significance of perseverance and consistency. It teaches the idea that progress and success can be achieved by patiently moving forward in a straightforward manner and being determined, even if the pace seems slow. This quote encourages us to focus on our journey rather than being distracted by comparing ourselves to others and trying to speedily get to the end of the finish line without enjoying the slow, steady pace of getting there. So, I'm reminded of the movie Shawshank Redemption. I don't know if you've heard of it, but this movie poster here I have courtesy of the movie database. In the movie, the character played by Tim Robbins, his name was Andy Dufresne, he's wrongfully convicted of murder. He is, in fact, innocent, because a lot of them say they're innocent and they're not. But in this story, he is innocent. He was framed and sentenced to life in prison. But over the first 30 years of his life term, he secretly digs a hole in the wall of his cell with a tiny little rock hammer that couldn't be bigger than the size of your finger. His character is the epitome of slow and steady. He spent 30 years of his life innocently behind bars. And actually, this scene on the movie poster that we see here, where he emerges from the sewer system that he crawled through for miles, when he finally escaped and is free, this gave me the chills. Really, I was rooting for him. Throughout the movie, Andy, the main character, he was slow and steady. He was focused on his goal. He was patient, he was persistent, he didn't try to do a blaze of glory, dangerous escape where he would likely get caught. He didn't tell anyone and nobody suspected him. This is a really good example of Knight of Pentacles energy. I think I can really relate so much to this character because I'm a creature of habit. I really, really am. For a prison inmate, it's all about routines. He stuck to the same routines for about 30 years. Okay, he didn't have much choice because he's in prison, but you get what I'm trying to say. No matter what it is that you want to accomplish, if you take baby steps and keep plodding ahead, you will succeed. Even though there will be ups and downs and what might seem impossible odds, if we keep plugging away, slow and steady, we can be free to live our lives with happiness. And now I'm sure you've heard the term haste makes waste. Well, it really does. When you're trying to do something fast and you're being hasty, which means you're hurrying, right? You may rush into something without thinking it through. A little impulsive. I've done that plenty of times preparing my live stream descriptions, for example. I've been hasty about it, last minute stuff, and I've put the wrong titles in only to find out later, oh my God, I put the wrong title in, and it makes me a little bit embarrassed, so I have to slow things down. This is a real issue with hurrying and not letting slow and steady win the race. Last week, I talked about the sitting disease, right? Have you heard of the hurry sickness? I love all these terms. I found that on a psychology website. And the first question I had in my head was, hurry sickness, is that the same thing as multitasking? Because I talked about that too, but it's not the same thing. Hurry sickness is a real phenomenon characterized by continual rushing and anxiety. It is not the same as multitasking, which involves focusing on multiple tasks simultaneously. While both involve excessive time urgency, they are a distinct phenomena. So, I ask you, what is hurry sickness? Well, let's take a look. Hurry sickness isn't an actual medical condition, but it's known as a sense of excessive time urgency. You may constantly feel rushed or anxious and have a feeling of urgency to get things done when there's no need. I can say that I have easily fallen into hurry sickness. I have in the past. I try not to now. I think we all have, probably, right? You know, when life gets busy and we have to work and we have to take care of our family and we have to take care of our homes and we have to call that damn insurance company to make sure they don't triple our rates. I'm going through that right now. And still we want to spend time with friends and do hobbies, and sometimes it feels like there just aren't enough hours in the day, right, for all of that to happen. So how do we know if we have that hurry sickness or if we're just busy with life? Well, here are some symptoms of hurry sickness that you can look out for. Number 1, rushing through tasks. Now, I'm guilty of this sometimes. I just love being busy, and when I see a long to-do list, I sometimes kind of rush through them. But in the end, I nearly always have to restart because rushing creates the possibility of error. All right. Now, number 2, feeling irritable when there's a delay. I think road rage is a good example of this. Or have you ever had someone behind you in line at the bank machine or at the grocery store and you can feel the irritation that it's taking too long for them? I have been through that myself too. Number 3, interrupting or talking over people. I actually knew someone once who used to talk so fast. She definitely had hurry sickness. It's like her mouth couldn't keep up with her thoughts, and I'm not kidding. Sometimes what she said came out all scrambled, and nobody could understand what she was talking about because she was just, her mind kept racing and racing. Number 4, running through your to-do in your head all of the time, not being able to focus on the here and now, always thinking about what you feel needs to be done. Number 5, treating everything like it's a race. I think if we always treat things like a race, this causes way too much anxiety and stress, and it puts pressure on us to watch the clock all of the time. Number 6, always feeling behind schedule. I've been there, feeling like I always need to catch up, like I'm always behind, but really in the end, I always am able to find time to get things done. I don't need to rush things. Number 7, continuously multitasking. Again, guilty as charged, but I'm totally working on this. And number 8, always having that sense of urgency. I had a roommate who used to go nuts when she was cooking. Everything was an urgency. Everything needed to be timed perfectly. And if one thing went off schedule, that was it. She flipped out. And as someone who enjoys baking and cooking, yes, I get that sometimes things are time sensitive, but she used to take it to a level where everyone in the room felt her anxiety and her stress and her anger. She'd get rageful. If someone talked while she was stirring a pot, oof, over the top, she would rage. It was crazy. Now, I talk a lot about the effects of stress, and there are so many ways that we either cause stress to ourselves or how outside influences stress us, how, I should rephrase that, how we allow outside influences to stress us. And I'm not just talking about days when it's crazy and you say out loud, oh my God, I'm so stressed today. I'm talking about thoughts, behaviors, personalities that cause chronic stress. So let's keep it real. There are many very worrying symptoms of hurry sickness, but there are even more worrying effects of hurry sickness, and here are some of them. Number 1, trouble concentrating. If you're always worrying about the next item on your list, how can you possibly focus? Number 2, neglecting to give your work the attention it deserves. This is often resulting in having to do it all over again, which uses up more time, or doing a half-assed job knowing you could have done better. And that in itself can lead to self-shame, self-criticism, guilt. I always love to say, don't do things half-assed. Use your whole ass. I love saying that. Okay, back to the list. I like to lighten things up a little bit, especially when we're doing serious topics. So, number 3, another effect of hurry sickness. Anger towards yourself, towards others, road rage, angry outbursts, tantrums. It's not pleasant to see a grown adult have a toddler tantrum, is it? Number 4, relationship issues. If you're always rushing and feeling that urgency, you could snap at your family, at your kids, awful, or your spouse, or your pets. Oh my gosh. Maybe you don't listen to them. You decide that your urgency is more important than their needs. And then, of course, there are many physical effects. Number 5, lack of self-care. If you can't relax, you don't have time to drink water, or as I mentioned in last episode, you're so focused on what you're doing and you're feeling that stress, you don't even get up to stretch from sitting at your desk for 8 hours straight. That's not self-care. Number 6, sleep issues. I think this is a no-brainer. You're creating so much stress for yourself. How can you possibly fall asleep? And it gets worse. It really does. With all of the added stress, you could have headaches. You could have digestive issues, decreased immune health, high blood pressure. I mean, these are not good things, right? But also your behavior can be affected. You can start to feel competitive. As mentioned, anxious. You can feel depressed, hostile. You could self-medicate these feelings with drugs or alcohol or any dependency that allows you to escape from these feelings. If you ask me, the worst on this list is hypertension, the high blood pressure, because that's a killer. That is a killer. So how can we slow things down? Really, we have to slow things down if we want to live as long as we can in a healthy way on this earth where we go around once. So how can we practice slow living? Well, I'm going to give you some tips. Number 1, embrace mindfulness. We've all heard this before. Consistently pushing yourself to meet a deadline or get things done, even when it's not necessary, can put stress on your mind and body. Mindfulness can help you focus your attention on the here and now. Mindfulness is being in the moment, breathing deeply, clearing your mind, focusing on your senses, and being in the moment. Number 2, do things you love. Hang out with friends, go for a walk with your dogs, or watch a goofy movie. But leave the phone off. That's one plague we all seem to have, the phone urgency, right? Leave it on Do Not Disturb and enjoy what you're doing. Number 3, prioritize your tasks. Ask yourself, what is time sensitive and what can wait? Prioritizing your tasks may be hard at first, especially if you're dealing with hurry sickness and you feel like everything is equally important. But in time, it'll get easier as you practice it. I always joke that cleaning the house is no longer a priority, but that's kind of my excuse not to pull out the duster. I hate housework. That's low on my priority list. Number 4, set boundaries. If you have a hard time saying no when someone asks you to take something on, then you should consider setting clear boundaries for yourself. Accepting more responsibilities than you can handle might be what led you to experience hurry sickness in the first place. Learn to say no, but more than that, learn to be okay with saying no. People may rebel against you, but you have to be okay with saying no. Take on only one thing at a time. Think about saying yes to the things that you want to do and no to the things that you don't want to do. One thing that I do pretty much every day, When I have dinner, I sit down at the table, I light candles, I put soft jazz music on, and I turn my phone off. I don't even bring it to the table unless I'm taking pictures of my food because I am a foodie. I lower the lights and I sit and I enjoy my meal. My partner and I used to watch TV shows while we ate. Now it's just soft jazz music and conversation. I also make sure I savor my food. I concentrate on the flavor, on the texture, on the temperature of the food. I love to eat and drink. It's such a treat to have a nice meal, you know, especially a home cooked one with a little bit of wine. I love that. So when I do that at dinner time, it automatically slows me down, and it actually helps me to wind down and relax so that I have better sleep. When your mind is racing, you can't sleep. When you're tense and stressed, your body can't relax and you can't sleep. So I hope you enjoyed these tips. Let me know in the comments how you slow things down. So going back to Kate's book, The Inner Tarot, with every court card, she has a section called Channel the Card. For the Knight of Pentacles, she writes, declare your love and loyalty to something. What are you most loyal to? Who are you ready to be more loyal to? What would these promises look like? And are you ready to make them? These are some pretty good questions. What are you ready to be loyal to? Is it your relationship? Is it your career? Is it your family? Is it taking care of your parents? Is it a new hobby or an education? Start small. Take baby steps, but be committed like the Knight of Pentacles is. Work through it, even if it's boring work. If you're committed, stay committed. I have a personal example. I have tremendous issues lately with my website and my web hosting company. I want to pull my hair out. I am not a webmaster. I'm not super techy either. I need things simple and I need things to work. I was nearly ready to shut down my website this week, actually. But then I made this video and I followed Kate's advice. And I decided to be committed, like the Knight of Pentacles, to figuring out the tech stuff and keeping my website up online. Even through the drudgery of the technical errors, I'm committed. So that's my applied knowledge example for you. I am following her advice, and I hope you do too. So let's go back to Kate's book. She has a second section for each card called Deeper Reflection. And for the Knight of Pentacles, she suggests some journaling. She says, recall some of your greatest achievements and the most laborious chapters of your life. Remember not just the tiresome work, but the fulfilling work as well. Then write, when I kept moving forward, when I chose not to quit or give up on myself, I felt and did fill in the blanks. That's a deep dive. I remember many of my greatest achievements, and they began as very fatiguing and nearly unachievable. But in the end, they were the most fulfilling achievements I can recall, and they've changed my life in a great way. So this is a deep dive. Now, I have a link to an article that you might find interesting in the description below. The article is called How to Slow Down, 97 Ways to Enjoy Your Life This Year. So you can find that in the description below, and you can click on the link, and you might get some good tips there. So here are some general Knight of Pentacles journal prompts, and they're from the book Journaling with the Tarot. Number 1, what are you waiting for? Number 2, how are you blocked and what is the next step? Number 3, are you willing to pay the price to be true to yourself? And number 4, what do you need to risk? Those are interesting questions. I love the questions this week. I also have a book called Trauma Healing Journal, and for this series, I'll share a specific trauma healing prompt with you. This prompt is under the heading of boundaries. Here's the prompt. Are there situations or relationships where you struggle to set and maintain healthy boundaries? Now, this goes back to the hurry sickness, I think. This is a good prompt if you have that hurry sickness. As a reminder, all of the journal prompts that I've mentioned will be listed in the PDF downloadable workbook that I've created for you in the description below. Now, I'd like to pull an oracle card to emphasize the idea of slowing things down. So I pulled this card from the Whispers of Healing Oracle deck. I pulled the Breathe card. How about, my friends, taking a very deep breath as I read this message to you? I'm going to take a deep breath right now. Let's just slow things down and breathe. So let's look at the card. Isn't it beautiful? We see mermaids and mammals in the ocean, and they must surface to take a breath, right? When you learn to take long, slow, and deep breaths, you can relax that feeling of needing to hurry. You'll be more able to appreciate the beauty around you and forget about those to-do lists. The mermaid reaches for the surface of the ocean. She must come to the surface to survive. Think of her when you're starting to feel a little irritated and annoyed, when you feel that something is stopping you from rushing your way through life. Think of that mermaid. You can transform any aspect of your life by slowing down and breathing deeply. It's normal that we fall into shallow breathing because most of the time we're unaware of our breath. But if you can stop yourself now and then, take some deep, long breaths, and most importantly, make the exhales longer than the inhales. This will slow you down. This actually does something to your brain to calm you down too. It will relax you, and maybe you can bring yourself to the moment, right into the moment. Be more mindful and stop the urgency that hurry sickness plagues you as my dog drinks his water. This is reality TV, my friends. I've got snoring dogs on the bed, and I've got my little puppy drinking his water next to me. So I'm going to continue. For every episode, I always pull a card for the collective too, to give an idea about the subject matter, something to think about the things that we talked about during this episode. I pulled the Wait card from the Angels Answers Oracle. Oh, I love my angels. Now, this is very appropriate for this show, isn't it? Slowing things down and waiting, and puppies falling down and making noise while lying on the floor. So, slowing things down, waiting. Your situation is going to require a little patience, just like the Knight of Pentacles. Your angels are not saying no to you. They're just saying not yet. So be patient. When you feel like you need to get something done hastily, the angels are saying, not yet, just wait. This ties in very well with the previous card of breathing. Not everything has to be done now. Let's listen to the angels and ask ourselves, does this really need to be done this very moment? And the angels so wisely are telling us, not yet. So, my friends, what are the key points that we should remember about everything I talked about here in this episode? Well, here's the first one. Number 1, slow and steady wins the race. We need to embody the Knight of Pentacles energy of baby steps and patience. Number 2, haste makes waste. Rushing through life only leads to negative consequences. Number 3, though hurry sickness isn't an official disease, it's a very real phenomenon. And as I mentioned in the effects of hurry sickness, it can be detrimental to your health. Number 4, we can slow down our lives if we're committed to doing so. It's possible. We just have to be committed. Number 5, breathing deeply and waiting can stop our perceived urgency to get everything done now. So that's our show for today, my friends. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it and it resonated with you. Please let me know in the comments. I absolutely love reading your comments and I reply to all of them. And I just want to say I'm very appreciative to all those people who have been watching each episode and leaving me comments and telling me that it's helping them. That just brings so much gratitude to me. Okay, I'm getting emotional. So thank you very much. Please do all the YouTube-y stuff. Leave a comment, like I said, subscribe, hit the notification bell, like, share, all that fun stuff. So next week, we will be working with the Queen of Pentacles. We love the queens. So until then, my friends, please take care of yourselves, and I'll see you at the next episode. Tap, 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 sending lots of love to you from my heart. Bye.